Is he charged properly?
He is, and those questions will be answered in due time, and they certainly should come from the prosecutor, not from me.
Right.
But eventually, when that PC is released, it'll be clear.
In 2019, Indiana State Police released a sketch of a man thought to be a suspect in the murder of Abby and Libby. 2 years later, investigators released another sketch of a much younger man.
That guy and that guy, there's a lot of similarities. How did we get from here to here?
Well, I think that, remember, I've said from the very beginning, since 2017, a sketch is a sketch, it's not a photograph. That's the first time I've seen that.
Really?
Yeah. And I've also indicated over time that I think once we get to where we are today, we'll be able to look at the similarities of the two sketches and make a photograph, which will be Richard Allen. So I think there's a little bit of both. And I don't regret the strategy to do what we did.
Since Allen's arrest, Indiana State Police have received more than 300 tips about this case. I asked Carter if they are looking for others.
Is there somebody else out there?
Right now, we've arrested Richard Allen, and that's what the courts have allowed us to do. We are going to be searching for anyone involved in this case until it's over. Mm-hmm. And today's no different than that.
There's been a lot of activity on this today. Kagan Klein. They had 5, the prosecutor dropped or dismissed 5.
I did see that this morning.
Is there any correlation between those charges being dropped and the search that was performed in the Wabash River?
No, absolutely not.
Has he?
I think he was charged with 30 counts. They've dropped 5, he still has 25, so it's important you report that too.
Right.
The case has not been dropped against Keegan Klein.
I asked Superintendent Carter if Klein had been cooperative, and he declined to discuss Klein any further. Now a new judge must decide whether to unseal the probable cause for Richard Allen.
The probable cause, I suspect, is going to answer a lot of questions that I have here and that we talked about on Monday. Will it answer all of our questions? Or is there still...
Remember, this case is 2,100 days old, almost. And the facts in their totality will come out at trial. And not until then. I can appreciate the desire for our citizens to have these questions answered. And my response to that is it will come. It will come. But if any of us said something that would be detrimental to the criminal prosecution of the person or persons that killed Abby and Libby, and I was responsible, you should hold me accountable too.
Staying with iTeam8 now, the judge in the criminal trial of Richard Allen has stepped down from the case.
The state Supreme Court announced Judge Benjamin Diener's decision earlier this evening. Now, it comes after he lashed out at a public's bloodlust for information in the case. News 8's Drew Blair has more.
Richard Allen, who faces 2 counts of murder in the 2017 killings of Abby Williams and Libby German, has been in the White County Jail since shortly after his first court appearance last week. On Thursday, Carroll County Sheriff Tobe Lesenby asked that Allen be moved to a state prison for safekeeping. He stated that the sheriff's office cannot provide the services, attention, or supervision necessary to ensure, protect, and guarantee the safety or security of the defendant, staff, or facilities. Judge Benjamin Diener granted the request that morning as part of a highly unusual 2-page order that lashed out at attention and media coverage of the case. Diener wrote, "The public's bloodlust for information before it exists is extremely dangerous." He continues with, "All public servants administering this action do not feel safe and are not protected." Diener is the judge who agreed to a prosecution request to seal the probable cause affidavit that outlines the evidence justifying Allen's arrest, including the rare move to keep the information private even after Richard Allen was in custody. Wish TV has filed requests with the court for the affidavit to be made public. That is common with nearly every criminal case in Indiana. In Thursday's order, Diener went on to write, "All public information will be available the second it exists. And when the public peddles misinformation with reckless abandon, we all are not safe." Judge Diener also noted that when Richard Allen appeared in court in an unannounced initial hearing, he was wearing protective gear. Diener says it was to protect the defendant from the public.
Meanwhile, a state Supreme Court spokesperson says the new judge in this case will be Frances Gull. She served as a judge in the Allen County Superior Court since 1997. She was a finalist for the state Supreme Court in 2012 and one of only 5 judges in the state that led a case with cameras in the courtroom. It's unclear what the change will mean for the timeline on deciding whether to make the probable cause affidavit